Poor people in the future are not allowed to wear shoes to work because the factory floor is fitted with a 500-volt high voltage. If they don't behave, the whole workshop will be electrocuted, and they only need to work 12 hours a day to have a hot shower. Not only that, but all the workers have their own private room with straws on the wall to provide unlimited food, because that's how they get the energy they need to work for the factory. Matt's first day here, he got a nasty electric shock. The guards in rubber shoes told them they had to obey all the rules until the money they owed was paid off. Matt was assigned to Workshop 3 on the 7th floor, and the team leader said that when he joined his team, he had to assemble the machines to the best of his ability. Because there's a competition between all the workshops, and every week, the last workshop gets a 3-minute electric shock. At the end of the workday, everyone lined up to go back to the dormitory, and Matt noticed his colleague gesturing at the window. It turns out that due to the lack of information between the workshops, they can only communicate with each other through sign language. Looking down, he realizes how big the factory is. Back in the dormitory, the men behind him told him that the floor was also electrified. In order to prevent them from escaping, the high voltage on the floor will be switched on every time they sleep. One of the workers was one of them, killed when he tumbled over in his sleep. The 2-square-meter space provides them with toothbrushes, toilet bowls, and other essentials. Although food can be supplied indefinitely through straws, the abominable factory does not add any flavor to the food. If you want to eat flavorful food, you have to win first place in the weekly shop rankings. Simple dishes that are controlled by the factory become the goal of the group. The monitor in the room shows Matt's remaining working hours. As each day passed, Matt quickly adapted to life here and became more and more skilled at operating the assembly line. As Matt became more proficient, the workshop was on the verge of reaching first place. Just as they were accelerating, Paul, who was in the same group, couldn't take the pressure and suddenly collapsed. Matt rushed to help him to the corridor and watched his condition deteriorate. The team leader asked the factory to send a doctor to check him out in order to save costs. The doctor was also selected from the factory workers who had previous experience in the medical field. He came down the corridor barefoot with a medical bag and began to examine Paul. The team leader hoped that he would be able to cure Paul because he had only 3 days left before he could leave the factory and become a free man, but the doctor sadly told him that it was impossible, that Paul's body was already overdrawn and that he would not live long. And he injected a drug into his body that made him stop breathing prematurely. The doctor said he envied Paul for being able to die so peacefully. Matt wondered what that meant. The doctor quietly told them the brutal truth about the factory. A few days ago, a worker on the 4th floor paid off his loan and left the company, but within 2 days he was taken back to the 1st floor to continue working. The company has a lot of traps in the contract. Once you sign it, you're basically a slave to their work forever. The people on the 1st floor learned the truth and made a big fuss in order to quell the chaos. The company electrified the 1st floor for 2 days and 2 nights, resulting in the electrocution of all 49 people in the workshop. So Paul was lucky to leave in peace. After hearing all this, the team leader's faith collapsed. He decided to follow Matt's advice and work with him to find a way out of this horrible cannibalistic factory